Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well on this Sunday afternoon. Today I've got 3 exciting encounters, one with a Goatman and 2 with 2 strange, unexplained cryptid encounters. Before we get into those encounters, a couple links I'd like to share with you. As you know, I am a commercial-free channel, so I rely on my Patreon, PayPal, and merch link to keep this channel continuing to grow and go. Also, I have a second channel which is just for creepypasta, fan fiction, and scary voice acting. If that's anything that you're into, follow that link and give those stories a listen. Also, thank you for everybody who has newly subscribed to my channel, everybody who has supported this channel, and everybody who just listens to my narrations. Thank you so much. You guys have been the backbone of this channel, and I can't express the amount of gratitude I have for you guys. And with that, guys, let's get on with these encounters, shall we? Our first encounter of this afternoon. One night about 10 years ago, me and my best friend decided to stop by the local hangout of ours in Bowie, Maryland, to smoke a cigarette before he dropped me off at home. We grew up here and spent our early years wandering the railroad tracks in the woods, smoking and drinking as children do. So this one spot is a railroad overpass at the 450 and 197. There's a parking lot and a small area of grass and trees, about a 30-foot strip of land separating the tracks and the lot. So it's nighttime and we decide to go there and smoke our cigarettes. We go on the tracks and we're facing the parking lot, so the overpass is to our left and the tracks are on our right. This way we're still barely in the glow of the yellow parking lot lights. Now we're smoking and he's talking about the entire time I'm focused on my right, peering down the track because I have a strange feeling. I don't know what it was until later, and it was the feeling of being watched by a predator, which I've never experienced before. After about 2 minutes, we're almost done with our cigarettes. A helicopter flies right above us, seemingly at tree level, with a spotlight briefly going over us coming from the direction of the overpass. Not 5 seconds later, I hear the gravel shift from between the tracks and I look towards the overpass. Standing right in the center of the overpass is this giant silhouette. Now, since it's dark and it's under the overpass, I can only see its silhouette. It's about 8 or 9 feet tall and burly looking. It appeared as if its head was attached to its torso, completely bypassing a neck, the way a super jacked dude looks. It was huge, and we only looked at it for about a second before I said, "Let's go, now." Now we are hurrying and start rushing away, and we hear the gravel move closer, and not 3 seconds later, we both hear the most demonic, horrifying, multiple pitch screech literally right behind our heads. It came from no more than a foot behind us. So, of course, we book it to his car, and now we don't look back because, are you fucking kidding me? Get real. We get into his car, and the funny thing is, his lanyard got stuck around the steering wheel, and when we pull out, his keys pulled out of the ignition as he's turning the steering wheel. Anyways, we drive around for about an hour. The only thing we can say is, what the fuck? And that's my encounter with the Goatman. Now, a week later, we're hanging out with our friends, and we'll just call him Andy. Now, Andy has spent a lot of time in the woods, and he's telling us about how last week the cops were out in the woods because they heard screams and thought a woman was being raped. Now, I asked him if he saw the helicopter out, and he said yes. And I asked him what day it was. It was the same night we had seen the Goatman. So we told him about our experience, and he was like, "Yeah, I saw that thing too. You guys saw the Goatman. I've spoken to a few others who have actually seen it and given me the similar description. Our second encounter of the afternoon. This is my story. This is in full detail and as much info I can give. I hope you enjoy, and I hope there are answers. It was election night 2016, and this is not a shitty political joke. This is a legit story. And I was lying on my side facing the wall. I finished praying and I began to slowly sing under my breath to myself, as I occasionally do while trying to fall asleep. While I was singing, I got this feeling like I was being watched, and I heard something from behind me. I turned over to see what it was. When I turned over, I saw something that I just couldn't believe, and I sat up quickly in order to stay aware. I saw in the middle of my room, squatting by my doorway, a humanoid figure. It had red leathery skin. It was apparently male, as it was shirtless and had no breasts. It had no eyes where there should have been eyes. It had these raised ridges of skin vertically up and down its upper face where its eyes should have been. It had no ears. Instead, it had holes like snake ears on the side of its head. And they had these curves like normal ears. But instead, they were inverted inside the head and not out of the head. It had these large hands with black nails, like a dog would have had. It had huge feet with 4 toes on each, again with large black nails. It also had no genitalia, and instead a scar where the male genitalia should have been, like it had been removed somehow. I was panicking, and I pinched myself to make sure I was not asleep. I didn't wake up. I was looking at the creature, and I noticed it was looking vacantly in front of me. And then it turned and looked back at me, and it tilted its head like a dog and smiled. I'll also add that it had no lips, so it had a Joker-like smile with these odd inhuman-like teeth. It then did something I still don't understand. It went invisible, as in it turned invisible, but I could still see the distortion where it was, like the invisibility effect, like in a Halo or Fallout video game. I could see this distortion slowly begin to move towards me, and I saw the carpeting in my room shift as it walked on top of it. Keep this in memory. It got close to the bed, and I started to sweat with fear and clutching my blanket with a strong grip. My bed all of a sudden shifted as if something sat on top of it, and the blankets started to be pulled away by an invisible force. At this point, I began yelling and kicking in the air, and it vanished. I never saw it since. I left the room afterwards to do something else because at that point, I didn't feel like sleeping. I considered the possibilities of what it could have been because I am naturally a skeptic and always look into everything that happens so I can disprove or prove the existence of something. I was fully awake and I could move, so it was not sleep paralysis. I locked my doors and windows as anyone does in their own home, so it couldn't have been a human entering with a strange costume unless the door was open, etc. This was a long time ago, and I think about this moment every day, and I always recall the same details, and I even wrote this down a year after it happened, so if it was a dream, it would have become more vague and harder to remember as time went on. The blankets were still where they were when the creature moved them. The carpet still had footprint imprints where the invisible movement was coming towards me. I hope you enjoyed this. I know it sounds a bit crazy, but that was my experience. And I still wonder what it could have been. I've researched slightly, and I've only told a few people about it, so I don't know what it could have been. Any guesses? Our third and final encounter of the evening. This happened to me on Saturday, July 5th, 2008, around 4:30 a.m. I witnessed a strange creature as I drove south on North Holly Road towards Holly, Michigan. This event lasted about 10 seconds and occurred when I was about a mile away from Grange Hall Road. I was coming back from dropping off a volunteer that I work with at the Art Center in Davis. I didn't drink anything and wasn't on any medication or any illegal drugs. I was drinking soda and I didn't feel tired even though it was late. My speed was slower than the posted limit, about 45 miles an hour. I had my brights on. I do this so I can be prepared in case a deer decides to cross in my path. No other vehicles were present. As I was driving, I slowed because there appeared to be a very large creature digging in someone's trash next to the right side of the road. It was located 20 to 25 feet away from my car. I began to slow down to get a better look. This thing was really tall and too huge to be an average animal that I normally see in the roadside trash bins at night. My first thought that came to mind was, what is that? I remember calling out the words in my head to determine what this thing could be. I thought rat. No. Big kangaroo. It's gray, red eyes. Rabbit. No, not a cat. It jumps and leaps like a rabbit. I don't know what I'm looking at. Can't be the chupacabra. Could it? In Michigan? This creature was holding a piece of trash and didn't appear to have paws. More like slender hand-wise. It had huge, round, and red glowing eyes. It reacted and looked kind of surprised to see me, as if it thought no one would ever find out that it existed. That was my impression. Its eyes just stared at my vehicle while holding onto this piece of trash for nearly 4 seconds. Its triangular light gray face reminded me of a dog, but it was more pointed and triangular towards the end of the nose and mouth. Its presence didn't seem ordinary, and those gigantic glowing red eyes made me feel something was out of place here. Its ears were large and rounded, sort of like a moose. Its arms were bendable and closer to its body than its long, flexible legs. The body was heavier in the bottom and kind of reminded me of a kangaroo body, but he was completely gray. Maybe gray short-haired fur. I'm not so sure. But the body was definitely gray in color. It had a skinny tail that was similar in the appearance of a rat tail, but it was much longer and slightly wider. I barely noticed the creature's tail until it maneuvered out of the way from the garbage can. In summary, this is the way the creature reacted when I came upon it. I noticed the creature digging in the garbage. It was holding a piece of trash. It stared at me for 3 to 4 seconds, dropped the trash forcibly like a human would with both hands. It was standing upright and appeared to be over 3 feet tall in height. The creature bent down to the ground and jumped forward on all fours and got up a bit and turned to the left to aim to the woods. It reached for the ground again with its front arms and jumped forward with its back legs swinging in the front like a rabbit. The creature didn't make any sounds that I could hear with my windows open, and it didn't try to attack me or hiss at me. When the event was over, I wanted to turn around and find out what the hell this thing was. I knew that it would not be a good idea, though. My gut tells me that this thing had to be a chupacabra. I looked up chupacabra on the internet the next day and discovered a photo was taken by a rancher in 2004 that shot and killed one. The creature in the photo looked very similar to one that I had witnessed. The dead animal had less flesh on its bones, and I couldn't see the slender hands, but it was hard to tell from the photo. I was planning on getting some land so I could let my pet cat out at night, but now there's no chance of that change of plan. I later reported my encounter to the local police, who really didn't seem to care. Wow, guys, right there. 3 fascinating cryptid encounters. Goatman encounter, unknown intruder in a home encounter, and a possible chupacabra kangaroo in Michigan. Who knows? Alls I know is they were 3 good encounters, and I love encounters like this. I hope you guys enjoyed them as well. And with that, guys, I bid you farewell. I'll see you guys real soon. Enjoy.